Here is a well-maintained ancient statue of Zeus. The lightning bolt is pretty detailed. It definitely looks like flames or fire as you zoom in on it. Great level of detail in the face and the beard. Again, a sort of regal pose. Ooh, you can see the damage there. It's not fully intact. It has been pieced back together. Here's one part where it's damaged. You can see the notches right there in the cut. Notice the detail of his clothing and the wrapping, the fingers. And this is what we're talking about Greek art being like the height of Western civilization, not just in terms of philosophy and the creation of democracy, but art, architecture, etc. Talk about detail. First, he lost his arms. They broke off. You can tell that's clearly breakage there. But look at that beard and that hair. This sculptor has put in amazing levels of detail. Just imagine this being chiseled out of an incredibly large piece of stone, and how long it would have taken this artist to finish the beard or the hair. And again, isn't it strange, those eyes that aren't painted, how they kind of like look very blank. But there's a really great Zeus that we've got preserved right there. There's another Zeus. Here's a vase painting. We've talked about vase paintings. Vase paintings were literally vases that they would hold water or olive oil or wine, and they were generally painted. They were just average household items that anyone could go and buy, and we don't have them today because they were great works of art. We have them today because they weren't destroyed. So you could consider this to be pop art or commercial art that is not art created by the greatest artist that the civilization has, stuff that was put on a vase that somebody bought, and we have it today because it wasn't destroyed. And vase paintings are one of our best sources of mythology. You'll notice the geometric patterns that go around it. If you studied Greek art in the past, you probably know that there was a geometric period where the vases just had geometric symbols, and then slowly but surely mythological scenes or other scenes kind of took over more real estate on the vase. And this is Zeus. He's seated. Now, it just looks like a chair, but it's important that he gets to sit down while somebody else is forced to stand. And that in itself is a symbol of power. You'll notice the beard. And look how he's holding his, it's like a cup, it's like a platter, but he's holding it up to be filled by somebody else. This is his cupbearer called Ganymede. Notice that he's being waited on, and this person is serving him. You'll also notice the staff there, all symbols of power. This is Zeus. This is another vase painting. It's pretty simple again. Oh. Again, we've got one of these fancy looking lightning bolts. That maybe is just sort of images of flame or fire. Again, he's got his famous beard. He's got a staff. That's Zeus. Okay, here's another vase painting. And here you can see the picture of the entire vase, where you can even see parts of the handle here. Here Zeus is fighting the monster Typhon, who you'll see has wings and looks like snakes or tentacles. He's clearly some sort of monster. And Zeus here, you can see Z-E-U-S in Greek, that is Zeta Epsilon Upsilon Sigma, is throwing a very fancy looking lightning bolt at the monster here. You'll also notice that parts of the vase, the paint has been worn off. Here is Zeus's head on a gold coin from the ancient world. Here is Zeus and his wife Hera. They appear like they're fighting. Zeus and Hera are almost always at war with each other because Zeus is a bad husband. It's one of the biggest things about mythology is that Zeus is not a good husband. He is not a role model. He misbehaves, and his wife is generally angry at him. This is Olympia, not Mount Olympus. Mount Olympus is a mountain in northern Greece. Olympia is a city in southern Greece. They both have the same root, Olymp, but they're not anywhere near each other. In fact, it takes a long, long time to get from Olympia to Mount Olympus. Olympia is where the ancient Olympic Games were held. You can see the stadium right there. And the most famous temple of Zeus was at Olympia. In fact, the statue inside it, which earlier in the slideshow we saw that replica of it, was one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. It was so large and so majestic and had so much gold, ivory, etc. This is based on our archaeological evidence, that is the stones and remains that are still in the ground at Olympia, and based on our ancient literary sources, that is ancient Greeks, that wrote down what they saw. This is a modern rendering of what Olympia probably looked like in the ancient world when the ancient Olympic Games were still held there. And here's another drawing of what the famous Temple of Zeus at Olympia probably looked like, again based on what's left of it on the ground and what people wrote about it. Here's a color version. Again, a Greek temple. It has columns. It generally has art depicted up here. Depending on how long you've been at Loveland or which classes you've taken, you might have studied a Greek temple in depth and all the various parts of it. Here's what the famous statue of Zeus at Olympia probably looked like. Again, it was one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. Many people wrote about it and described how big it was. It was so big that the head hit the ceiling even though he's seated, meaning that if the statue would somehow come to life, his head would have gone right through the roof. And it was made of gold and ivory. It was incredibly expensive. People went just to see this enormous statue that's hundreds of feet tall. Again, there's Zeus. Here's a photograph of the excavation of Olympia, which took place in the late 1800s. And you can see they've got parts of columns that they're digging out of the ground. Here's Olympia today. I've been there several times. You can go and visit it in Greece. There's not much to see. It's mostly stones in the ground and a few things that have been put back up. There's Zeus. 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 Zeus had a lot of sanctuaries all over Greece. Ooh. If you have a chance to go to Athens, there was a very famous temple of Zeus at Athens as well, which is right underneath the Parthenon, if you're familiar with Athens. And you notice what happened here. You've got a column that's still standing, and then it's really cool oftentimes with temples, when something falls, they'll leave it on the ground so you can see what it looks like. And notice that columns are actually lots of pieces put together. Again, this is the Temple of Zeus in Athens. Zeus, Zeus. More temples. Again, that Temple of Zeus in Athens is right underneath the Parthenon. You can see the Parthenon right there. Ooh, here's a really good shot. So this is a shot of the Temple of Zeus in Athens from the Acropolis, like looking down at it. Today it's a park. You can walk in it, but you can't walk into the temple today. This photo's old. Today there's a fence around it, and you can walk about as close as those people are. And you can see it's surrounded by the modern city of Athens. You'll notice the detail. If you have studied columns, you'll notice that this is a Corinthian style column. Here's a photo that actually shows it. And yes, that is the famous Acropolis with the Parthenon right there. We'll spend a lot of time talking about it when we get to Athena. And just as some fun here, modern art frequently depicts Greek mythology. Here's a funny little Zeus. He's got his little lightning bolts. He's on a horse. This is just decorative for fun. Okay, so Zeus today. All right. Wale te omnes.